Hello and welcome to a special episode of the Adventure Management Pod. This is a special one because it has video to accompany the audio, so if you're not already watching the video version, feel free to head over to YouTube or Spotify or whichever platform you like that supports video and search for The AMP with Pete Tupper. Alternatively, you can continue listening to the audio version as usual and it will still make sense. I've given this episode the title From 5-Star Hotels to the Outdoor Education Industry: Similarities, Differences and Other Lessons. Our guest is someone who has transitioned from the 5-star hotel industry to outdoor education and outdoor lifestyle resort management. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to see what the outdoor education industry can learn from her unique journey. Her name is Tina Brodard, and without further ado, come join us for a pleasant chat at her peaceful resort amongst the paddy fields of Thailand. Okay, I'm here today with Tina, and we are at Le Coco Resort in Chiang Mai, and we're going to talk today about lessons from the hotel industry. So Tina, thanks for meeting me today, and I'm really happy to be here in this beautiful resort. It's so nice here.
Thank you, Pete, for coming over. We're very happy to have you with us.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. So just introduce yourself, your background, where did you grow up, and what did you study?
So I'm Tina. I grew up here in Thailand, moved away to university, and I worked a couple years after in Switzerland. So there I studied hospitality and gained a lot of new knowledge and also introduction to a new culture, what's very different from Thai culture here. So that was very interesting. Came back with a lot of different insights, and I've been back now for 2 years working with our family business.
Yep.
And we're running an outdoor tour company.
Yep.
For general guests, FITs, and also student experiences, student trips.
Okay, nice. So you said you studied hospitality, right?
That's right. Yeah. It's hospitality management. So
Yeah.
The first year is more on the hospitality operations side,
Yeah.
where we learn all about housekeeping, food and beverage, all the services.
Yeah.
And we have a 6-month internship where I did it in guest relations.
Mm.
So checking in guests to rooms and a lot of what we call lobby duty, welcoming guests and acting as a bit of a concierge as well. So yeah, a lot of guest interaction.
Yeah. And this was in Switzerland?
In Bangkok.
Oh,
I did
okay.
it at the Mandarin Oriental in Bangkok.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to have learned their standards of hospitality coming from a 5-star resort or hotel.
Mm.
I picked up a lot of things that I realized we could apply even to our little 10-room resort here in the countryside of Chiang Mai.
Yeah, great. And that's
Yeah.
one of the main things I'd love to hear more about, because a lot of people come to the outdoor industry with obviously an outdoor background, but not necessarily a 5-star hotel background. I'm really interested to hear if there's anything that listeners can maybe learn from you about what you've learned through studying hospitality and then working in the 5-star hotel industry, and how any of that translates into the outdoor world. And since you've started doing a lot more outdoor stuff, which parts of that have you taken with you? Which parts of that have been really useful? Let's start with that.
So I definitely see these two industries have a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
And skills that are transferable. From hospitality, what's definitely important is the service. So
Yeah.
guest experience being at the core of what we do.
Yeah.
I've learned things like paying attention to detail when working in a 5-star hotel setting, observing guest preferences. It could be
Yeah.
things like what fruit would go down most in the fruit basket provided in their rooms. For example, we notice they like grapes. We'll make a note, okay, guest has a preference for grapes, so we'll put more of that particular fruit. So it's the little things that really matter from what I've picked up in the hotel industry, and noticing that in the outdoor industry as well. It can be anything as simple as when we have a student group over, noticing the types of topics they like to talk about, or maybe they'll have some slang of Gen Z, and if you start talking to them in that slang, they're like, oh, you speak our language. It can be anything like that, or even just noticing what the teachers like. If they like their black coffee each morning, we'll cater to that. So
Yeah.
a lot of it is about meeting guest expectations and also anticipating their needs or simply their preferences.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So some personalization.
Exactly.
And a lot of attention to detail.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think maybe a lot of, especially on big group trips, like school trips, that part gets lost sometimes because there's just so many people everywhere. It's quite hard to focus on people's individual preferences, but it's really nice to have that ability to just pay attention to a few little details.
You're
And like
right.
you mentioned with the grapes, sometimes it's just a small thing, isn't it? But it makes a world of difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with student groups, it can also be noticing if any of the students are left behind or they might not be part of the group.
Yeah.
We would try to keep them around more, or let's say during an outdoor activity like biking, if they're a bit slower than the rest of the group,
Yeah.
we're for sure not leaving them alone. And one of our guides is always in the back. And myself, when I get to go on trips like cycling, I'll pay extra attention to that person, encouraging them, giving them that moral sort of
Support.
Yeah. Exactly, which I've noticed helps a lot. And I can share a story actually where we've had a cycling trip, students from Hong Kong. There were 3 girls who I stayed with throughout the duration of the trip.
Yeah.
They found it particularly hard to already just be in the outdoor environment coming from the city. So
Yeah.
it was a muddy kind of time, a bit of rain and muddy trails. They already were aching at the idea of being in the mud. So getting them to cycle, first of all, when they had no cycling experience, turned out. Getting them motivated to go and to keep up with the boys and just each day to be doing the same thing cycling against was a challenging bit of it. But I noticed that they grew a lot from this experience.
Yeah.
And I had to give a lot of emotional support as well because teenage girls, you know how they can be. A lot of care and attention, which links to hospitality in that it's in a different context, but whether it's a guest or this teenage girl who's on a trip with us, it's paying attention to their needs, and whether that's an emotional or different kinds of support, we're really giving them the care and attention, which I think can make a big difference in their experience.
Yeah, that's a really nice link, isn't it? Care and attention is so important in both the industries, even though it's different contexts.
Right. I found the hospitality experience to be extremely useful in the work we do now, and also have realized that we can still add value through a 5-star service, even in an outdoor resort, which is not a luxury one. And that's through staff training, emphasizing the service culture, making it an automatic reaction or response among our staff, whether they're working with just hotel guests or with student groups. Another similarity, I would say, is the anticipation of needs of guests, whether that's in the hotel or the outdoor industry, because essentially it's still the provision of a service, and there still is an element of hospitality involved in providing outdoor services.
And how about on the hospitality side of what you're doing now? So with Le Cocotier here, actually, let's take a walk around the grounds, so we can see how it is, and we can talk about the resort.
So here at Coco, we accommodate any families or hotel guests who maybe like outdoors, they like the nature, and then we host groups, so whether that's adults or student or youth. And as the hosts of their trips, we emphasize customer care. So that's, I really try to push when I speak to our staff for paying that extra attention and just guest experience at the core. So client is king. That's what I've learned from hospitality school, and that's what I try to apply here. Luckily, we're in Thailand, and that's quite a part of people at times. It's the friendly Thai smiles, gestures, and
big part of the culture here.
Exactly. So we're lucky to have that, where our staff are naturally friendly and can provide that. But some other things from hospitality I've picked up are managing guest expectations, and that's a little different in the outdoor industry, especially when it comes to managing youth. So managing the whole group dynamic, and it's a different experience from when we're looking after just 1 or 2 guests. But different yet similar, because we're still keeping an eye on them, how they're doing, checking in on them, bringing them maybe a refreshing drink when it's hot, or it's, like I said, the little things that really seem to count.
And how about handling if there's ever a complaint or someone who needs calming down or something? I imagine in 5-star hotels you get trained how to deal with those kind of clients or customers in the moment. Do you have any like maybe top tips that you could share for any outdoor educators who, let's say something happens and they need to deal with that situation?
Yes, that's a really good question. And I would say the key word is empathy.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been taught that in hotel school. It's to put ourselves in the shoes of the guest, maybe understanding what they've been through. They might have had a long journey, which is why they're a little fatigued and speaking the way they are. And just putting things into perspective and understanding their point of view. And then from there, once we have an understanding of what they might have gone through, we're better able to understand and then speak to them accordingly. So the same applies here. We definitely a lot of fatigue when the kids are out in the sun, spending lots of time on doing activities they normally wouldn't do back home, often in a city environment. So they're out here hot and faced with challenging situations. So I often naturally find myself like empathizing with them because perhaps I'm also feeling the same way. I've also got mosquito bites and I'm sweating, and I've had an uphill bike ride that's been very challenging, or what seemed like the longest kayaking expedition. So I definitely can empathize with the students.
Or dragging kayaks out through the mud.
Exactly,
which story about that yesterday.
I myself did a DOFE trip, and the river section of the lake where we were meant to kayak through dried up. So that was quite the challenge.
You had to drag the kayak out of the lake.
Yes.
How far was that?
Maybe something like 2 kilometers. And when you're a small little girl, and I think it was the last day as well. So that last stretch, and very zombie-like states from maybe 2-3 hours of sleep each night in the hammocks, afraid of the dogs barking. But looking back, it was an amazing experience.
And that's the magic of a DOV and any kind of outdoor experience, isn't it? In the moment, you feel like, this is the worst thing in the world. And then a few days later, you go, that was actually really fun.
And importantly, you went through that with your own legs and hands and everything, and your determination. And we walk away from that with more strength. And that's another thing I'd like to add about my work in the outdoor field is having noticed students, having witnessed their growth. And that's something that I don't get to see in just the hotel setting, providing rooms. What I love is that energy I get from the youth, and also seeing the progress from day one to when they leave from here.
Because in a hotel, I guess you don't always get to see that because they check in and then they check out, and you don't always see the experiences that they have along the way.
You see them maybe during the meals or service points, but with students, you're spending more time with them. Through giving them emotional support or through empathizing with them, trying to encourage them, you develop more of a bond, which is very unique to the outdoor education industry.
Okay, let's keep walking around and see some of more of the grounds. I love it here. It's so peaceful, so tranquil, and great food as well, by the way.
And here in this little hut, we've done some cooking courses for students. And what often happens is from learning to make papaya salad, it becomes a competition of who has the loudest. When they do papaya salad, they've got a
big wooden thing to smash the
and then
stuff.
we hear like a smashing noise competition. That's a lot of fun too. And we've had some coffee tasting activities in there as well. So enough space to host groups. And here we're just entering the building. It's a 10-room building.
So it's really well set up for student groups, right?
Yeah,
this is really cozy. Often a lot of dormitory rooms for student groups they look a bit like prisons. But this one actually has a really warm feeling to it.
Thank you.
Great.
Let's just head over to the pond in the back there.
Okay.
So on the second floor, there's 5 rooms, queen beds. So here we welcome anybody and teachers when we're having groups.
Yes. Great.
So this pond, as you can see, there's the rice paddies just behind, which is a nice highlight.
Oh yeah, and you did some rice farming type things.
Exactly. The entire property sits on rice terraces, so you zoom out and you'll see just green all around you, which is lovely.
Around this.
Yeah. So in this pond, we've actually had a couple younger kids do a kayaking practice because they're a bit too young to go out on the lake where we usually run the activities. And their favorite game was a self-created game, one they put together, where they would pick up coconuts that were fallen in the pond and then race and get it. So we took that and made it a game. So that's been a bestseller among the young.
Nothing better than a game that's invented by the students.
Exactly. Yeah. So here at Active Thailand, we use the local Coco Resort as our adventure base for outdoor tours. And some activities you'll find in the area are trekking, cycling, rafting, lake kayaking, and stand-up paddleboarding. All these are within the vicinity of the property. So here is our garden where we have bike training before students go out on a cycling trip. So for sure, we've got to get them over here, get them practicing switching gears, comfortable on their bikes, fit their helmets properly. We have ramps and cones and like a mini obstacle course here. So nobody's going out until we see that they're confident enough on their bikes.
Yeah.
We've also done yoga here for adult groups.
So we've talked about some similarities or some useful things from the hospitality industry to take into the outdoor industry. How about any major differences or surprises or shocks that you've experienced since transitioning from hospitality to outdoor world?
So since in an outdoor industry we're working in a natural environment, it comes with the unpredictability of nature. So things like planning for weather conditions, different unexpected rain, backup plans, plan A, plan B, etc. And just more heavy on the operational side in here. And I think that's something that in hospitality setting is also done. Like I mentioned, the detail, the attention, the planning. But when you're managing groups, and particularly in an outdoor context, there's a lot more to watch out for in the safety side of things as well. Planning and being cautious of all that, taking risk into account is key as well. Another key difference lies in how far we're able to go in saying yes to guests. In the hotel industry, there's often a mindset of never saying no. I've been taught this way and had to put this into practice throughout my work experiences in hotels. So the goal is often to make anything happen for the guest. However, in the outdoor industry, we're also aiming to go above and beyond, but there are certain boundaries we can't ignore. For example, weather, gear, guide availability, environmental conditions, and of course safety being priority for us as with all outdoor tour operators. So we do say yes as much as we can, but especially when it comes to school trips, then always within those limits. And it's not about limiting the experience, but rather delivering a great one responsibly. Another difference would be in the staffing and skills of the two industries. So hotel staff roles are typically more specialized, whereas outdoor resorts or service providers will require more general ones. For example, a guide who can also cook or fix a tent, and that's the case here at Le Cocotier. So it's important to be recruiting staff who can handle both hospitality and the wilderness duties, which can be challenging. So that's also a key difference.
And was there any standout moment that you experienced when you maybe on one of the first trips that you were running, or when you first kind of moved out more permanently into the countryside? Or I guess you've grown up in this kind of environment anyway,
so it's like coming back home, but also very different. So in fact, what kind of makes the two industries different is that in hospitality, it's often about providing. So whether it's material, service, it's the more you give, the better. So actually guests are expecting that. So often they may enjoy the more luxury items or luxury and comfort, I would say. But in an outdoor resort like this, our guests are usually here looking for more challenge, more experience focused. So there's already a difference in their expectations. I've realized through my work in the outdoor field that they might not be seeking that luxury and comfort that was ingrained in my mind through working in hospitality.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, isn't it? Yeah. For the students' experience, what they're seeking is often the opposite of comfort. We're literally trying to get them out of their comfort zones.
Exactly.
Whereas in the five-star industry, I assume it's mostly about how much comfort can we give the guests.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So have you ever found that you have to artificially create discomfort in some way, or like to make something more challenging or less comfortable, or does that just happen sometimes?
It could just happen. I think most of our students come from very sheltered environments. So relatively here, it's already a different setting from them.
Yes.
They haven't got maybe their maids around. They haven't got access to their games or a cook. So they've got to sometimes cook their own food, or they have to eat our provided food. So I think that for them is already a difference.
Yeah. So they're already a little bit out of their comfort zone anyway, just by
Right.
being in a new environment.
Exactly. And being in the grass, having to deal with ants and insects and those things that they, at first, they seem terrified of. And you see them starting to play or maybe collect some frogs.
Yeah.
We've had some students turn up like very proudly with water bottles filled with frogs and lizards inside.
Yeah. So by the end of the trip, they often love the animals and the bugs,
Yeah,
even if they started off being scared of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see that connection to nature building much more.
Great.
It's lovely to see.
Okay, thank you, Tina. It's been a really great chat, and thank you so much again for having me here and showing us around the resort. And it was really interesting to hear about a different industry, a new perspective, something that many outdoor people won't have experienced. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up this topic. It's actually a very interesting one to myself. I've never thought, and I actually don't know that many people or anyone who has a background like myself and is now working in the outdoor industry.
Yeah.
But you've really got me to think about that, to reflect exactly.
Yeah.
And it's very nice because it's a lot of things merge, and I can apply skills and knowledge I've learned from the industry, hotels to the outdoor setting, and vice versa as well.
Yeah.
So great topic,
Okay.
and
Thank
appreciate.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. So if anyone wants to check out Tina's resort, it's called Le Cocotier. And thank you all for tuning in, listening, or watching. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Email amp@petetupper.com. That's amp@petetupper.com.